Hello and welcome. Today I'm going to return to Next War Poland game, and scenario I decided to record today is Take the Line. You won't find this scenario in the first edition of the Next War Poland game. It was made for the second edition that comes with additional boards like this board or that board. And well, if you have a first edition, you have two options. First, to purchase a totally new game in the box. Doesn't sound like a great idea, isn't it? But there is another option, which is more economical, purchasing a second supplement for the Next War series, where you will find these boards, updated rulebook, counters, and everything you need to update your first edition of Next War Poland into second edition. And I got this, one of my viewers was kind enough to give me this, and thanks to that I can record this scenario. This is a small, probably one of the shortest scenarios for the entire Next War, because it takes only 2 turns to play. And it is focused on Russians and their Belarusian allies trying to capture a railroad that links Belarus and Russia with Kaliningrad, and it rides to the Lithuania. So Russians and Belarusians are attacking from both Kaliningrad and Belarus and have to take control over the entire railroad until the end of the second turn. So the time is short, but from the other hand, NATO is definitely outnumbered here, which means that it's not as hard as it seems. I played this scenario a couple of times, and in most of cases, Russians and Belarusians were able to win this battle in the turn 1. So I decided that it needs some adjustments to make it a bit more balanced, so I decided to make it. And what are my adjustments? I will tell you about them step by step. First of all, I added one additional Lithuanian reserve battalion. Nothing really much, but next. A NATO player has to put all the Rapid Reaction Corps units into opaque cap and then randomly draw 2 of them. Well, that's what the rule says. And now there is second of my modifications. You are not drawing them up totally randomly. You can choose one of them by your own. So I decided to take this French airborne brigade, and it is going to be set up in Vilnius. And the second one is going to be randomly taken. So let's see what is going to be. It is Italian brigade. Okay, that's pretty strong unit with defense of 3. And remember that if you need defense in urban hex, it has its defense doubled. So they are going to be put in Kaunas. Okay, next. As for our units, that's all. And now what do we have? On the Russian side we have in fact something about 2 Russian divisions. One is here and the other one is there. We have 2 Russian Marine brigades, 1 Belarusian division, and 3 Russian airborne brigades. For them we have 3 air mobile points, which is enough to bring them all over the board. And that's how it should be according to the scenario. Scenario takes 2 turns to play, and both of them are initiative turns with Russian player holding initiative. I guess it makes sense. But now there comes another of my modifications for this particular scenario. We have 4 Russian points and air points and 2 NATO air points instead of 1 that is in the scenario. And I decided that in both turns Russian player will have air advantage, not air superiority like in the original scenario, but air advantage. That's not something really big, but I think this might change the playthrough. Maybe a bit, we will see. So these are all my modifications for this scenario. Of course, you are more than welcome to add your own modifications and to try to make this scenario a bit more balanced. Of course, it doesn't mean to be balanced. These are not chess. This is a game, a war game, and it has to depict a real situation. And when it comes to the Baltic corridor, Russians always will have advantage when it comes to the numbers of the units, especially when Lukashenko forces are also in use. Alright, so according to the scenario, we have to start in the initiative, movement and combat phase. So we are not rolling for weather or anything, weather is clear. And now we can start with Russian forces being on the move. So let me do that movement. This brigade moves 1 and 2, and this one moves 1 and 2. So they will try to capture these Wilkaviškis. I believe that's how it should be pronounced. It is in Lithuanian after all. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. And please notice that there is an airfield here. So I need to mark this airfield as a pending control. These markers are not in the game. You will find them in the first supplement for the Next War series, but I found them extremely helpful. Okay, so that's all. Now my artillery, it rides here. And now I have one more brigade here, which is there. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And 6, 7. So these combat helicopters have to fly away. So they will fly here, but they have to take the air defense role. The 5 in the firing side has an advantage, so that's fine for them, but they lost 1 use. Okay, so that's all on this part. Now that part. So Vilnius is definitely one of my targets because this railroad rides through the Vilnius. So we have no other way but to try to capture the city. And this might be pretty hard with this French brigade defending. So I'm going to bring some really strong units there, both Russians and Belarusian. Now this brigade, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, supported by this artillery, will try to drive this Lithuanian battalion off. Next, my airborne units, they are making airmobile movement and they are starting a game in the Belarusian land area, meaning they already spent 7 airmobile movement points before entering the board itself. So 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, and they want to land here. This is, I need to make air defense roll and -2 because of the airfield. Oh, that's 0. -2, it's -2. Oh, doesn't sound good. Oh my, very bad. It's abort and an asterisk, meaning that 1 airmobile point is permanently lost and transported unit takes a step loss. Oh. So they take a step loss. Russians lost 1 airmobile point. Oh, that's bad. Now, I'm spending 2nd of my airmobile points, and my idea is to capture this airfield. Let me see if I will do it. Come on! Oh, no, 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 no. Putin will be angry. Okay, so that's another loss, and 1 more airmobile point is done. See, that's how this just a minor adjustment of the original rules, and it already starts to make a major difference. And finally, this brigade is trying to capture this town, and it -2 for airfield. Oh, finally. Okay, so that's fine. I can place pending control marker on this town because we need to size all the towns and cities that are on our way. So that's all for the Russian movement. Yeah, that's all. And now we are going to go with Russian combat segment. Okay, so who is attacking and where? I will start here. They have 6 versus 1, so that's pretty obvious result with 6 to 1. Let me check for any adjustments. They have 4, they have combat efficiency of 6, but we cannot shift more than 6 to 1, so nope. Do I want to use any air points on combat helicopters? This looks like a one-sided battle, so I'm not going to spend any air points on the Russian side. And as for NATO, no, they doesn't want to either. And they have +1 because they are defending in the town. So that's +1 for the die roll. Let us roll. That's 6 + 1, so it's 7. This is -1 for the defender. They have only 1 step, so they are good as that. So Wilkaviškis is captured and pending control. Now the second attack goes here, and this is going to be a bit different. We have 9 versus 7, so that's 1 to 1 and -1. Let us check for column shifts. They have a 6, they have a 7, so that's +1 for the defender. Next, any modifiers. Attacker calls for 1 air point. Let me roll for this 1 air point. That's 6, -1 because of mechanized troop, and -2 for airfield in the 2 hexes range, so -3, and 6, that's 3. Flying side has air advantage, so that's fine. They can have this 1 air point. And now defender. Defender calls for his combat helicopters, so I need to make a roll. That's 5 and -1 because of the mechanized unit, so it's 4. When firing side has a advantage, 4 is abort. So no, we cannot help themselves with these combat helicopters. And any other modifiers? Yes, they are defending in the town, so that's +1. Now let me make a roll. That's 6. -1 is 5. So that's -1 for the attacker and -2 for the defender. Ooh. So they are down. Doesn't look good. And this town is captured. I can mark it as pending control. Now who's next? They are attacking here. And that's mechanized unit versus light infantry. So they will have their strength increased by 1.5. So it will be 6 versus 1, so it's 6 to 1. And again, I'm not calling for any support as for Russians, because I have a better use for these air points. Next, I'm not going to call for any support for NATO. They have also +1 because they are defending in the town, so that's 6 to 1 and +1. 7. So that's -1 for the defender. They are down. Oh, looks like it's going to end quickly as well, despite all these modifications that I made. So that's all. And finally, a big assault on Vilnius. So it's 3, 5, 8, and 12 versus 6. So that's 2 to 1 in the urban hex. Now, they are going to be a leading force, so it's 6 versus 6, no modifiers for combat efficiency. Now, I'm calling for 1 and 2 artillery support, so that's +2 in favor of the attacker. And next, let me check for any air support. So, Russians are calling for their Mi-24 combat helicopters, 9. We have them, so that's -1. NATO calls for 2 air points, and that's 3. That's -1 because of the enemy mechanized unit, so it's 2. When firing side has a advantage, it's -1. So we spent 2 points. No, I spent 1 point. Yeah, 1 point. So I lost this 1 point. So I cannot use it. And any other modifiers? Actually, yes. We have 2 different formations, so it's +1, and 2 different nationalities, so that's +1. So we have total of +1 modifiers. Doesn't look good, but roll is fantastic. It's +1, so that's -1 and retreat. So defender takes 1 loss and they have to retreat, but they are defending in the city, urban hex, so they have a chance to stay there, but they need to make a combat efficiency check. They rolled 2, this is lower than 5, so yes, they made it. They can stay without any additional losses. So that's all when it comes to the combat segment. Next we have elite reaction movement segment. I can move my units, I mean these Italians, but I think I don't have any good idea how to move them. So no, they are not making any movement, and no other NATO units can move. So that's all for the elite reaction movement segment. Exploitation movement segment. I can move my units, save to the ones that are in enemy zones of control. I think this means I can move all my units because none of Russian units are in enemy zones of control. Okay, so they are going to stay here to capture Vilnius. They are moving 1, 2, 3, and let me mark this with pending control markers. Same goes with this airfield. It is now under Russian control, and now my next target will be Kaunas. So I am moving here. These combat helicopters have to fly away there. I am also moving here. My artillery rides here. Next, my light infantry is moving 1, 2, 3 there. So they will prepare themselves for massive attack on Kaunas, but not in this combat segment. And I think that's all. Nope, I am moving here. So that was the last airfield, so they have to fly away on the battlefield because there are no airfields where they can rebase. And this hex is also marked now with pending Russian control. And that's all for Russian movement. And now Russian combat. Do I want to make any attacks? This is exploitation combat segment, so all my attacks will get negative -2 column shift. So that's the question if I want to take this risk, because I have, well, one more segment, one more combat segment in this phase, in this turn. But I think I will take my risk and I will attack Vilnius with 3, 5, 8, 12 versus 4. So that's 3-1. Now that's 3-1 in urban, and now I'm calling for artillery support, so that's +2, and -2 for the exploitation combat segment, so these two are nullifying each other. This one is leading force, so it's 6 versus 5, so that's +1, so it's 4-1, and that's all when it comes to attacks, to the column shifts. Now die roll modifiers. I'm calling for my combat helicopters, 3. Flying side has air advantage, so that's fine. We have -1. I'm calling for 1 air point. 4, yeah, I can use it. And I got -1 because of attack from 4 multiple directions, and now +1 for 2 formations, +1 for 2 nationalities. So this is total of -1 for me, and that's 0. Okay, that's great. 0 minus 1, so it's -1, so that's -1 -2. So attacker takes 1 loss, defender takes 2 losses. So they are down, and the Belarusians are capturing Vilnius, and they have to be marked with clearing marker. Alright, so that was good, and that's all for exploitation combat segment. Next we have reaction movement segment. So what remains of NATO forces can now do any actions. The question is if they want to do any actions. All our units are now in Kaunas, and they have 6 and they have 4. So it's kinda tempting, you know, to make a counterattack. It will be probably suicidal. But come on, let's have some fun. So they are performing a counterattack on these Russians. So this is 6 versus 4, meaning we have 1.5 to 1. Okay, and now as for column shifts. They have a 6, no column shifts, and no other column shifts. Now die roll modifiers. Russians are calling for their own Mi-28 combat helicopters. Let me show you. They are here. Are they in the range? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Nope, they are not. So now we cannot use them. That's unfortunate. So that's still 1.5 to 1 with no modifiers. And next, Russians have 2 air points available, but they want to keep them when they will try to assault Kaunas, so nope. So no modifiers, but NATO gains +1 because of 2 nationalities in a single attack. They don't get modifier for multi-formations because they are not NATO, and NATO has no such modifier. So we have +1. Let me roll. It's 2 + 1, so it's 3. So that's 3. It's -1, -1, and retreat. So they take 1 loss. They also take 1 loss, and they have to step back 2 hexes. Do I want to capture this hex back? No. I'm not going to leave this city. So that's all for the reaction combat segment. And now let us go into basic movement and combat segment. So we are starting with basic movement segment of the initiative player. So I'm going to go here and there along with RT. They are going to stay here. They are moving here. They are moving there. So we have the entire city surrounded, and hope it will be enough to size Kaunas. We will see. So that's the end of the that's the end of the movement segment. So now we are going into combat segment. So all these forces here are about to attack Kaunas. Let me check. They are attacking through the minor river, and minor river, each unit has its strength halved. So it's 2, 4, 8, 10, and 12. 12, okay. And they are also attacking to the river, so that's 12, 14 and 16. So we have 16 versus 4 and 3, so that's 7. So 16 versus 7 is going to be 2 to 1. Where did I put? Okay, it's here. 2 to 1 and -1. In the urban hex, of course. Now, column shifts. I'm calling for 2 artillery units. So that's +2. Now let's choose a leading force of both sides. So this is going to be this Lithuanian brigade on the NATO and this mechanized brigade on Russia. So that's 6 versus 5 plus 1. So that's 5 to 1 in the urban hex row, in the urban column. Now let me check for die roll modifiers. Russians are calling for their last 2 air points. They got 3, -1 because of the mechanized unit here, so that's 2. When flying side has air advantage, that's fine, they have it. NATO calls for the last air point available, 6, -1 for enemy mechanized troops, so it's 5. When firing side has advantage, 5 is fine, so -1 for +1 for NATO. Now, any other modifiers? Yes. We are attacking from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 directions. So we have -2 for Russians. And we have 1, 2, 3 different formations. So that's +2. So we have total of -2 modifiers. And now let me roll. That's 7. -2, it's 5. So that's -1, -2. So attacker takes 1 loss, defender takes 2 losses. And this concludes Russian attacks. Now NATO movement, we have only a single brigade with single step left, so NATO is not doing much, but that's the end of the turn. So now all the things we can do is to try to clear this Vilnius. The clearing number is 4, that's pretty good. Now let me check for die roll and modifiers. So I rolled 8, fantastic. Oh, that should do the trick with ease. We need 4 stacking points to make it safe. We have 5. Now we have -1 for clearing in Lithuania, so that's 7. We have leg and mechanized units, so it's 8, and 5 versus 4, that's +1, so that's 9. So certainly we made it, and the Vilnius is cleared by Belarusians, so we can now bring all the artillery units back to full use. Same goes to combat helicopters. And now we have to check for the clearing, for the pending control markers, and they are all replaced with Russian. We have no Belarusian flags. That's Lukashenko won't be happy. Here, there, there. There, there, and there. Have to admit that these pending control markers are really useful. And that's all for the turn 1. We have no reinforcements in this scenario. And next we are going straight into the turn 2 and into the movement segment. We don't have anything else to do. Save to the number of reset the number of air points and air mobile points. We lost 2 air mobile points before, so we have only 1 air mobile point left. And again we have 4 air points for Russia and 2 air points for NATO, and it is air advantage. So anything else I can do now? I think not. I think that all I can do now is to make one more strike on Kaunas. So let us go. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, and 14. 14 versus 2. Well, that's 7 to 1. Artillery support moves it to 9 to 1, and this is going to be a leading force, so it's 6 versus 4 plus 2, so that's 10 to 1. As for air support, Russians are calling for all their air points, so they call for 4 air points, 7, -1, so it's 6, so yeah, they can use them. NATO calls for 2 air points, and 0, they can't use them. I think so, let me check. Firing site has air advantage, 0, -1, yes, it's -3, and we had only 2. So no air points. Any other diral modifiers? Attack from 5 directions, so it's -1. Attack of the 3 formations, so it's +2. And 7. 7 minus 3 is 4, so that's -2 for the defender, so they take here, and of course they have to be marked with clearing marker. And now all we have to do is to check if they can clear this hex. This is 5, okay. And now let us check. This is urban hex. We have 4 stacking points, so this is safe operation. And now let me roll and count modifiers. Oh, that's 4, but I think we can make it. We have -1 for clearing in Lithuania, so that's 3. Next, we have mechanized and leg unit, so it's 4. Our combat efficiency is 6 versus 5, so it's +1, so it's 5, and we have enough stacking points. So it's 5, we needed 5, so yeah, Kaunas is controlled by Russians. So, and because of that, we won the battle. Yeah, that's the end of the battle. So it took me a bit more than in my previous place, because it took 2 turns, well, technically 2 turns, but when it comes to the practice, there was only 1 step of NATO units in the second turn. Even so, we had to play until the last turn. Like I said, this scenario is kinda one-sided. I don't think it is possible to win this battle with NATO without any serious adjustments. Well, you are more than welcome to try to change it and to add some more NATO units, or sometimes you just need a bit more luck with die rolls. If this American armored unit that was destroyed in the first combat would survive, then it would probably cause more trouble to Russians. But, well, c'est la guerre, as French people say. This is the war. Okay, so that's the end of this play. That was pretty quick, but, well, I think I might try to create some additional scenarios for these small boards for the second edition of Next War Poland. What? That's the distant plans. So thank you for watching and see you next time.